Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dota 2 Asia Championships. We're live here from Los Angeles, and it's time for Cloud9 versus EHOME, Sind.
It's one of the, I think one of the most exciting games we're going to see today, I hope.
This was probably the most hotly contested by our panelists, although I'm not sure how many points people have at this point. We've lost Bruno to sleep, unfortunately.
I also didn't hear how you guys rewrote the rules. Apparently you have a 20-minute discussion about what you were doing, and I have no idea what you ended up with.
Bruno's like changing the rules in the middle of the discussion. He's like, okay, this is worth 2 points. Just kidding. You're going to get it, so now it's worth half points. He's randomly docking people points. He's like invalidating bets out of nowhere. He's saying that you can't make bets that he's already accepted. I don't know, man. It's tough. The house always wins, and Bruno is the house.
Oh, I see. I hope I get to keep my points so far, at least.
I believe I had put down EHOME for this match. Seemed like Cloud9 had the slight edge in terms of the overall predictions. Coming into the match, EHOME are sitting 1-1, Cloud9 2-0. So
yeah,
it's early for the new Cloud9 roster, but they look pretty solid.
Both I want to say Cloud9 looked, they looked really good in the previous game I saw with them when they played the offlane Ricky and the IO Tiny. That was against syndereN, I think.
Yes.
They look pretty good in that. I don't think they should be. I mean, I'm still very surprised that Cloud9 even get IO in this tournament. I think if you could ban one hero only, that would be my ban. Every single game against Cloud9. You don't give that hero to N0tail. It kind of doesn't matter what team he's playing with. He's just that extremely good at the hero. So I would not give that away if I'm EHOME now and see if you can take Cloud9 a little bit more out of their comfort zone, because that's like the #1 comfort pick, I think. I cannot imagine this team being more confident than when they have N0tail IO.
Yeah, the Wisp is just a go-to. It was the case on Secret. It was the case on Fnatic. At first with Cloud9, actually, they weren't really running this in the America qualifier, where Wisp would be left in the pool. They wouldn't pick it. Maybe they just wanted to experiment with other stuff, but obviously it's always a go-to move. So, guys, we have loaded into the draft. We're going to hop into it in just a moment. And
okay, then I shouldn't have done that. Just kidding. Actually not. Hey, production! Draft! We're having issues. Okay, I too have issues.
We're having issues. What kind? All right, guys, we're having issues. So we're just gonna verbally cast this game. So EHOME right now, they're on the Dire side. They ban the Brew. Cloud9, they're Radiant. They ban the Jug and the Axe. So the Troll gets through. The Wisp gets through. So first pick will go to Cloud9.
They must be banning out the IO.
Yeah, you got to be.
And
crazy.
here we go. Okay, so
got him.
Now you can tell we weren't lying about what was going on.
So they have something spicy prepared here, EHOME. They love these unusual picks. They like their Jungle Bloodseeker, the Ursa for Mushi.
I wonder what Cloud9 are going to pick.
Little Whisperino.
So I would think they don't get the Wisp if there's something about EHOME's bans that would make them worried about getting the Wisp. Like if there's something they set up that makes it
standard,
difficult.
Though, I feel like. You're up against Bone 7. Banning Bat is a pretty standard move. You're up against Fada. Banning Brew is a pretty standard move. I don't feel like these bans really, at least to me, they don't strike me as anything out of the ordinary.
No. And it doesn't, you know, if they were banning some really key partners with IO or banning around that playstyle, then I think Cloud9 would have chosen something else. I think they just pretended that they were thinking about it. They're like, we'll pick IO, but we'll just wait until we don't dig into our reserve time. So they think we might have another plan, but we knew we wanted IO all along.
Well,
and they get it.
You know, Tiny's in the pool. EHOME not really a team that's just gonna like take the Tiny away from you. So
I don't think so.
What do you do, Sin? You have to at least have done some cursory research. I'm sure they know Big Daddy plays a good Wisp. They probably looked at the last replay and at least saw the draft. What do you go for here if you're EHOME, do you think?
I think you counterpick the IO right now. So you make sure you get the best possible counters you can get away with. There's a lot of approaches to how you deal with it. Either you get some really good counters to the relocate by getting mobile cores that can get away when they see the relocate coming in, or you get stuff that can disrupt with the teleport, such as Disruptor himself. You get good counters to just generally to pairs. Shaker is a good example of a pretty good hero that can shut down both IO and the partner. You could get something like a Witch Doctor. So there is the Shaker at least. And a fairly, I wouldn't say this is a very mobile core, but a very tanky core that IO plus whoever IO is with can't just immediately kill off. So I think that's a start. And I want to say a fairly good way of dealing with IO is taking a lineup that puts pressure early, so you don't start becoming a victim of the split push that IO can do. So if you have a hero like Bristleback leading the charge and you just start taking towers early before IO really gets strong, that can be a way of dealing with it. And they must have prepared for this, like you said. I mean, this was extremely obvious that it was going to happen. So.
Yeah, we'll see. Mushi is in the drafting seat, by the way, at least technically speaking. Inflame has been the one drafting for this team for weeks, leading all the way up from D2L through the Asian qualifiers. I don't know if this signifies anything, but we'll have to wait and see. Necrophos is the choice, though. Cloud9, they don't opt to go into that Tiny, which we saw them run in the previous match versus syndereN. Still an option for them, but yeah, Necrophos generally known as being really good against tanky cores. Bristleback obviously fits the bill.
And we've seen IO Necrophos a couple of times. I think the first time we saw it extremely effectively was at Star Ladder, 2 Star Ladders ago. What number was that?
Star Ladder Season 9.
Was that Season 9?
That was the one that DK went undefeated, I believe.
Oh, that's 3 ago then. Because the one
11, 10. Oh, so you mean Season 10?
Yeah,
okay.
So Season 10. In Season 10, Secret ran an IO Necrophos lane, and they destroyed that game entirely. And then we've seen Cloud9 use it a couple of times since then, I think. And the reason this lane is so extremely good is that Necrophos' innate weakness is that he's not mobile, and that he is fairly fragile in the start. And IO solves both problems for him. Makes him mobile with Tether, makes him tanky with Overcharge and just healing him up. And the fact that if they're close to each other, Necrophos can heal IO, which in turn heals himself as well. So he gets like 2.5 times the heal out of his Death Pulse, which is insane. And then you take into account how he counters Bristleback too. So it makes it a pretty good pick, but it also shows their hand very early.
It does a bit, and interestingly, they're going to ban the AA, which has kind of been a red herring in some drafts. We've seen, I think, a good example is HGT, where a lot of the Chinese teams know they like to run the Shadow Fiend, early mech, Chen pick, so they'll pick like one of those components, then they ban the AA, and suddenly your opponents are thinking, oh god, they want to push. And so they go a totally different direction. And EHOME seems like they are suspecting that. They banned the Drow. I actually haven't seen Cloud9 play the Necrophos lately, but I thought it was Eternal Envy who was running it. So I don't know if this was really a game where Cloud9 would have even thought about a Drow. I feel like they've kind of tripped up EHOME a bit here with that.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah. They're going to ban Naga as well, which is a hero that we've seen Cloud9 play quite a lot. I am not quite sure why they would be so worried about Naga right now, but I guess at the end of the day, if they have the idea that Cloud9 are using this as some sort of distraction to set up for a kind of a split push strategy, and that Naga could be a possible issue for that, then that's fine. But I already think you don't want to play a split push game when you give IO away in the first place. So if what the EHOME wanted to do was to push and fight early on, I think it would be perfectly fine if they gave Naga away for that. So maybe they have another plan.
All right, EHOME snagging that Lion pickup here. A lot of burst damage, which you really do want against the Wisp, as well as Necrophos, potentially. So, well, let's see where Cloud9 go. They actually ban out the Naga. Interesting. They pick Lion and ban Naga. Lion normally pretty good against that hero. But I guess a bit worried about getting ratted. Brian, I saw your note.
Okay, so what do you do now if you're Cloud9? You've got plenty of time to think about it. I guess for EHOME, as far as their lineup goes, it's still in line with this kind of fighting style, but okay.
Huh.
This is not a very classic hero to pick with Necrophos.
No, normally you see Beastmaster. Oh, we're a little bit ahead of the stream right now, but generally see this hero with someone who benefits from the Inner Beast, which is not the case. We need to cast off this monitor.
Well, you can get a lot of attack speed on the Necrophos now with Overcharge the Inner Beast. Maybe it goes Daedalus. Who knows?
That Shadowblade Daedalus Necrophos. Fun and pups.
The obvious synergy between Beastmaster and Necrophos is that Beastmaster is good at bursting heroes down the first 50%, and Necro takes down the last 50. It's like the good old classic run Huskar and Necrophos together. Huskar takes the first half, and Necro takes the second half. So it's definitely good in that sense, but I think with Cloud9 getting this Beastmaster now, I would agree they probably have another plan than just trying to run this Necrophos as their only strong core. Maybe it goes in line with this whole global idea where this is in a way very similar to what they did to CDEC, where they didn't have the Necrophos, but they had the Tiny. They used the Beastmaster to scout with a Hawk, Boots of Travel, found a gank, and relocated on top and got the kill. They can still do that kind of stuff with Necro if they will, or with another hero. But
Mushi is taking his time here. He's got about a minute to go or so in reserve time, and begins to chew into it, looking for their 4th pick. They've already got their support duo. They're gonna have to start to lay some cores on the table, and they go tanky. They go for heroes that really excel in those early to mid-game engagements. Viper, Bristleback, heavy on the lockdown, heavy on the crowd control. Not very good at dealing with split push or rat Dota though at all, which probably explains the Drow and Naga bans, but I mean, there's other options as you were mentioning. If Cloud9 want to head that direction, EHOME, kind of uncharacteristic for them. Normally they've been playing more spread the map type of lineups, like In Flames, Quaswex Invoker, the Bloodseeker picks I was mentioning, Ohio's Nature's Prophet at times. This is more of a team fight composition than 5-man composition than what we're used to seeing from them.
And they're gonna grab Lich. So this is another hero that they had against CDEC. It's basically the same draft with Necrophos instead of Tiny.
That's a pretty big difference, is the big thing.
It is. If they want to go for the same last pick as last time, they get Ricky. I think he's awful here, though, so I would be surprised if they get that same hero. Made a lot of sense against CDEC's lineup. There was a lot of heroes that you could really shut down with the silence. It was easier to move around against the not so easy to execute disables and burst as I would say EHOME has to an extent here. So, well, regardless, Cloud9 with this Lich are probably aiming for a dual lane setup. You know what hero I would love to see from EHOME? I think you kind of have an idea of heroes I like that I think are underpicked. No, it's not Cuddle. So
Pugna?
Yes. Excellent.
How many
Good
points
guess.
do I get for that?
Oh, man, I don't know about Bruno's points
50
system.
points.
You get 50 points, and then you get them revoked afterwards if I'm Bruno, I guess.
I think Suns fan is going to be a little jealous with the mind meld we have going on.
Man, that
here,
was
buddy.
amazing, yeah.
he's angrily screaming
They're
from next
actually
room.
banning out the Ricky. They think it's going to be a problem for them. That's surprising, because he is really, really bad against 5-man push. He has like nothing to bring to the table in those kind of fights. You put down a sentry ward. If he comes in close, you just burst him down. And
I really feel like that's like we don't really know what to ban, so we're just going to ban what you picked last game.
He's also terrible against Bristleback. Like, you don't want to hit
nice,
from the
nice
back.
backstab, bro.
Yeah.
Really
So,
sweet.
There's a couple of reasons I would really like to see Pugna. I think for EHOME's overall strategy, they would probably want to end the game fairly early, not necessarily start pushing barracks at minute 15, but somewhere around 20 to 25. And if they get a mech carrier who can also siege the towers, as well as the fact that Necrophos has very high mana costs and casts his spells a lot of the time. Okay, 2 spells, Reaper Scythe he probably casts once, but the Death Pulse is high mana cost and you cast it a lot.
Yeah.
Same against Lich. Frost Blast, very expensive, so is the Chain Frost. And if you put down a Pugna Nether Ward and you start sieging towers now, it's very difficult for Cloud9 to engage on you, I think. The counterplay potential is huge. You engage into a Nether Ward team against a Viper, a Shaker, and a Lion to counter go. And with 2 tanky cores in front. I think this is like as ideal as a Pugna draft gets.
Pugna definitely, I guess something kind of similar is the Dragon Knight. It doesn't give you the Nether Ward, but another good pushing core. There's also like Death Prophet Razor. We used to see these heroes a lot in more 5-man compositions. And we're getting spoiled here, but it's about to come out now, this next pick, and only got 10 seconds to go, and it's a Warlock. Okay.
Kind of, I don't want to say it's the same idea, because he's not as good at pushing towers, but I want to say the overall strategy from EHOME is still the same. They don't want to go late game against this, it seems like. I think so far with Cloud9's picks, they could go late, but this last hero for Bone 7, I think, will be a core that deals damage. So Ricky was perhaps an option. Alternatives they could look towards. What does Bone 7 really play that carries? He's usually playing the active, like the gankers like Batrider, Clockwork are probably his 2 best.
So you think this is definitely a Thada Beastmaster, not like maybe
it
Bone
could
7
be a
in
Bone
the
7
offlane?
Beastmaster, that's true. Don't think he plays it so much though, or is that big of a fan of it. I think Fata is definitely their best Beastmaster player. But at this point, I would really agree with that choice of putting Beastmaster offlane and getting another.
How about
core.
the long-forgotten Tinker? Is there a home for him in Dota 2 right now?
Yeah,
You're up against a
just
pushing heavy lineup.
if they were-
Beastmaster
if
Hawk
EHOME
Tinker?
just picked up Pugna, I would say no. But now they didn't, so
Yeah, that Nether Ward is painful.
yeah,
to fight
that's
into.
extremely good against him as well. So I think they could perhaps grab a Tinker. It's somewhat scary against the Earthshaker if you get caught from the distance, and Lion another example. But apart from that, he would actually be able to play fairly safely. Of course, you should also keep in mind Chaotic Offering could cause some trouble. Even if you're into the trees, you can actually get opened on, so that would be a problem. But they're going to get Bones Core Hero, actually. that is the one hero we didn't consider. Legion Commander is what he usually plays when he needs to farm for the team. It's a good way of getting rid of Hex, a good way of getting rid of some of the stuns on EHOME, but I think he's going to have a hard time going into fights. Like, you're initiating into that team, you better know what you're getting into, because they can counterplay you and win that duel easily.
This feels a little bit MVP Phoenix-esque in terms of the draft, where if Cloud9 make any mistakes and allow EHOME to gain some momentum, it's just a battering ram coming straight for the front door. You're going to have a hard time keeping them out. They push reasonably well. They're very durable. Their 5-man's extremely strong. And Cloud9 don't really rat that hard. Going for Legion and Necrophos as your cores, you're going to have to take fights more so than just be able to split push. Maybe they can find kills, but the towers won't be coming too quickly.
And another thing we haven't mentioned is we don't know how DDC is going to be playing this Warlock, but Fatal Bonds is actually a fairly good skill against IO lineups, where very often in team fights, IO will be linked together with someone. And if you can bounce the Fatal Bonds off that, then even though they heal a lot, they also... IO might be... Usually the way you play IO is that you want to like float at 1/3 health or half health so you can keep healing up your carry. If you're bound with Fatal Bonds to a couple of heroes, suddenly your usual way of playing doesn't work, because then all of a sudden, shit, you're almost dead. And then this whole way of playing the floating style is just not going to work. So we could see that. An alternative is Upheaval as a counter to the move speed from Tether. That's also nice. I think Warlock could be really good. And it's a core Warlock. It was not DDC. He swapped it to Mushi.
Yeah, this is fairly very MVP Phoenix-esque. Hey, Brian, can you fix the preview so it's not cut off? And with that said, Sind, we're going to go ahead and start introducing our teams here in just a moment. We've got DDC playing the Lion for EHOME, and ZYF on a very different kind of hero, on the Viper. Normally on these more flashy, aggressive carries. We saw his Juggernaut earlier. Generally a player that likes to spread the map and just make plays happen, but he'll be more of a team fighter this time around. Inflame, going to be handling that support Earthshaker. Mushi, going mid as the Warlock, known for his diverse hero pool. He'll be showcasing it here, and it's Ohio who heads to the offlane as the Armadillo. He'll be the Bristleback. Meanwhile, on Cloud9, Bone 7. On a hero that used to be a big go-to from the Legion Commander. Haven't seen it too much lately. Big Daddy on his signature Wisp. Misery, the other new support hero, or player, I should say, for Cloud9. Playing the
He's also a hero.
And a hero. Expect a Midas very soon. Fada on the Beastmaster. And might have a skirmish at this top rune, but last but not least, we've got Eternal Envy. And the fight begins to break out. They're starting to go on ZYF. As Big Daddy begins to chase, DDC has already used his stun. It looks like Fissure coming in for the backside, though. Blocking off two. They might even turn on Big Daddy. Now chasing Mushi and Inflame. This could be trouble. The Wisp going for the long-range tether out. Does he survive? Barely. Chased down by the Warlock, but Mushi misses uphill. Oh, no. He's got the heal. He hasn't started using it yet. If he stops, he salves the Fissure. Block again. Inflame. Two gigantic Fissures, almost securing a first blood, and then barely bailing out Mushi. Oh my, if it weren't for this Earthshaker, things would have been just a train wreck there for EHOME.
That was such a long level 1 fight that they're not even going to be in time for their lanes. You saw, because of that, Ohio got an easy pull in the bottom lane. He's going to pull the wave away. He might be playing, if he's playing this as a one-on-one lane against Eternal Envy, I think this is a lane that Bristleback actually wins. He can have a little bit of a hard time in the start, but just getting up to level 3, maybe level 5, Necro cannot escape the dive. And I don't think he can put enough pressure either.
I think Inflame expecting this Wisp to go stack the big camp and wants to snipe him from the high ground with Fissure before he heals up. But Bottles arrived, and Big Daddy just one step ahead. He's actually not going that way.
He's gonna go
Still, that's a pretty next level play if Inflame gets the kill there.
And as if his 2 Fissures already weren't good enough.
Yeah.
He's going for the first blood as well.
This to me is one of the most exciting up-and-coming players in China right now. Inflame is... He's been making a lot of things happen for EHOME, so definitely someone to keep your eyes on. So overall, you're liking the Bristleback offlane quite a bit, Sin? You think he's got a lot of potential here?
I think he's going to be okay for the lane, and I think he can win. I'm not saying he will, because it really depends on a couple of things. He's going to get early boots, and maybe because of Necrophos playing the double ring of protection, so he has 8 armor, that might make it a little bit difficult to go for this kill. But with Inflame coming in, that's going to be an easy kill if they do manage to pull it off. Looks like he will be trying it, but Envy spots it out. Fissure, he's still holding on to it.
They want to try and block him off so he can't get into the side shop here, but... Or back to the tower, I should say. Now going on to Big Daddy, who's extremely low. Ohio getting baited, though. He needs like 2 more sets of quills to come out to get this kill, but he wisely backs down. If he commits any further, he goes down there. Big Daddy definitely a masturbator on that Wisp.
He was there at the right time. I thought he was going to go dual lane top with the Legion Commander, which we've seen a lot.
Another fissure.
Yeah, that's the
Hello,
problem.
it's Mushi time. He walks on the Big Daddy. He still can't get the kill, though.
He misses
This
again!
freaking Wisp. The uphill misses. They're killing him. He's going to survive. Oh, nope. Barely dying. Looks like he almost denied himself to neutrals. Couldn't quite pull it off. Then the 2-hero impale. A big one from DDC. But they still, in the end, will end up dropping the Earthshaker. And it's a 1-for-1 exchange. Your first blood going to EHOME.
You're gonna
They really have to work for these kills, though.
You're going to be happy with getting the first blood on Warlock, though. Getting him toward the fast Midas if that's what he wants, or just if he wants to go phase into Ags, or maybe just boots Ags, which you can also do. It's a pretty flexible here in that regard with whether you want to go through what route you want to go with your boots and how greedy you want to go with Midas. But
And
if
he's
he
up
can get
against Lich, so he really
Yeah.
needs that kill, I feel like.
I don't know if he's really up against the Lich, though. I feel like Cloud9's supports are just moving all over the place. Like, now Io is back to top. He was bottom a moment ago, just strolling by, saving enemy. Next lane.
Yeah, he started at the top rune, then he went top, and he was just waiting for ages to go on ZYF. Never got the opening. Then, like you said, goes back mid. Now he's back top again.
That Viper is hitting so damn hard onto the Io. When you come up to that lane, and you're going into a farm Viper who's level 4 with 2 points poison attack, 2 points nether toxin, and you're playing a Io with 0 armor and 500 health, he dies to 5 attacks, basically. So
they're rotating in. I do want to point out these wards by EHOME, or by Cloud9. They have the one ward top, which scouts DDC's rotation. They had a ward bottom earlier,
not really
which saw that
using it.
Earthshaker coming in, but they're still getting caught out, so I guess not able to react in time. Bone7 going to purge himself, cleanse himself, and retreat out. We're getting some weird visual bugs with these tethers.
I feel like we're getting used to seeing these tethers being that long with that blink.
He's such a good Wisp player, he can just tether to whatever the hell he wants. DDC getting chased out a bit, Bone7 on the chase, but they're going to back off for the regen rune. In the meantime, Mushi taking a bit of harassment, but I don't really know if they can get this kill. He's got the phase boots. They're diving heavily. Beastmaster is fairly tanky. Now pops the heal and turns with the upheaval. 3-hero fissure. Is it going to be good enough to make up for it? 4 heroes mid, quad lane mid from C9. That's some hate, man. Where's the backup? DDC comes in. I feel like they just need one more hero. Bristleback's here. Maybe 3 kills go their way. Instead, Fada getting the kill, and it's a double for him. The Lich barely skating away, and EHOME just not able to really react and rotate quite as quickly as they would like.
Yeah,
and they're circling back around on DDC.
Or if DDC had any mana there as well, that would have probably been 1 or 2 kills. But I think the most important thing to note so far is how well Cloud9 are controlling the runes. They're really doing a great job at outnumbering at the runes, securing them for the IO, and then immediately going for the plays. Because EHOME tried to contest them at the runes, and then immediately they just realized, okay, well, we just got a rune on Wisp, we just tether to whoever they're going on, and we just turn on them with the overcharge bonus and take the fight. It's really, you can tell how experienced this squad is at playing with a Wisp, and especially the player, of course, in No-Tell. Just, that's like the absolute most important thing with Wisp, is to get runes every single time if you can, and he's managed so far.
One thing I want to point out is that the Bristleback bottom is not having a very good time. He is sitting on 14 and 3 CS, getting doubled up by Eternal Envy here on the Necrophos. That is actually, oh, hold that thought. We're going to have a rotation coming in. 3 heroes now bottom. They're smoked. They're ready to go on Eternal Envy. Can they get in range here? They lead with the fissure. Inflame starts it off. The follow-up comes from DDC, but already Big Daddy's in position. Can they burst through the Wisp heals? Not enough damage. In fact, he's almost at full health after all this.
What a
and they're
hero.
forced back.
I think he might have used a stick there on the Wisp. No, he didn't. That was just 1 necro heal.
1 necro heal
Are you
and
serious?
the bottle charge, I guess, coming out for Big Daddy.
That
That's
was
just
still
ridiculous.
insane, though. Yeah,
He has not missed a rotation yet. He's been in the right place at the right time every time so far this
he's
game.
extremely fast at porting in. That was pretty much instant. The instant the Fissure landed, he ported in. And I think the reason Bristleback is losing as hard as he is was that when they tried to go on Necrophos at the tower and tried to take him down, they failed because of the rotation, and Bristle was out of regen. And that's when you can really get bullied out of lane. He does have a bottle now, but it took him a little while to get to that, and during that time, Eternal Envy was basically free farming. That's going to give him a good lead in this lane. Viper's still number 1 on the farm charts, though. I think the most important hero for EHOME, though, to secure some farm for is Mushi. At this point, I wouldn't think it's a bad idea if they swap the Viper and Warlock's lanes around. And safe lane the Warlock a bit, get him his level 7, whereas the Viper, who's already level 7, could go into the mid lane and probably dominate the Beastmaster.
What do you think about this Bracer pickup by Mushi? Is this just like, I'm not farming well, get whatever I can?
This is, we're constantly fighting, so I'll mass Bracer. As a way of protecting
Is that the build when you're supposed to be this big bad core warlock though?
No, I don't know either. What the
I mean, it could be
the
a
reasoning
casual
is.
bracer, but it slows down. Like, if you want to go for that March Midas or even just straight up rush the Ags, it definitely delays it quite a bit.
I think it's fairly rare these days to see bracers even being picked up by supports. They usually try to go for the bigger items and getting tranquil boots into, for example,
Like
a
an
force staff or
urn,
something, or
yeah,
an urn.
force staff, fuels, something like that.
So a little bit unusual here from Mushi. I'm mainly curious to see if he gets more than one, because if he gets more than one bracer, it's obviously just a fighting build where he really wants to just immediately get into fights early on. Looks like it's a TP he's flying out, no item. So
One thing to point out as well is EHOME has been doing a lot of stacking. The Ancients are being farmed right now. I believe they were stacking some of their other jungle camps near the mid lane earlier, and they've got a Bristleback who can clear these out. So taking advantage, this is the nice thing for the Bristle. Even if you get shut down a bit in the lane, you have some sort of comeback mechanic, and Cloud9 not really in a position to contest this, it looks like.
he's going to get really high level from this. He's almost level 8 on
He
the
is
Bristol at this
rather
point.
poor, so he needs it. Yeah, he's going to kill off the dragons here soon, it looks like. But the one thing I guess I worry about for Cloud9 Sid is it doesn't really feel like they have great ways to just create pressure right now. Without a Blink Online or the Earthshaker, you just kind of have to walk at people. And Cloud9 should be able to see that coming from a mile away.
Yeah, they've been really good at that so far, at least, and it looks like they want to go a little bit on the aggressive here.
They wanted to get those Ancients, but they're too late to the party.
Yeah, the Hawk flying in, not really finding anything at this point. Just going to be camping the spawn, basically. I do believe the Hawk does block creep camps, right? Or is it only the Boar?
Well, the board definitely does.
The Boar does.
I'm not sure about the Hawk.
Because it's a flying unit, but there's like some interactions. I don't think you can block camps with flying couriers, for example, but you can with the ground courier.
I guess we'll.
Or
Oh yeah, it looks like
that's
it
a
did
good question.
block it. I think.
Yeah, so it does block camps.
Okay.
And maybe the flying courier actually does too, but I don't.
I mean,
can't remember.
perhaps
It's
a bit
little weird.
late, as it looks like they are trying to rotate on mid. This might even be a smoke from EHOME. Swinging around towards the north, it is. Mushi's got the ulti online. The rock's hot to drop. And Ohio's going to come in first and foremost. Big Daddy probably prepared with a TP scroll on that Wisp, as they will descend on Bone 7. He's very low. I don't even know if a quick TP will be enough. This one probably needs to be canceled, in fact, and they fissure right as he's about to ride. Big
Nope.
Daddy, making a good call there not to jump in.
Noto's like, how is this possible? I'm always there on time.
He
Something
TP'd
has to be
instantly, but
wrong.
instantly sometimes not good enough.
Radiant's top tower
Yeah.
is
He
under
has to see the
attack.
future to save his buddy
Radiant
there.
structures
But
are
still, it's still
fortified.
very clear that that's kind of the game plan for Cloud9 is that Notel is just kind of floating around between lanes and always ready to reinforce, and that's been the style so far. And EHOME has picked up on it, so they don't go for these. You see, a couple of the previous ganks they've gone for have been like kills that you would usually get over time, and now this time around they don't mess around. They're like, okay, if we're getting a kill, we need to commit 3 heroes and we need to stab and instantly go in for it.
Oh, you gotta be careful if you're DDC. There's a fresh Radiant Sentry Ward planted down, although now he knows.
Is under attack.
So we'll retreat out. They get their mech. I mean, obviously we look at EHOME's 5-man Sid. It's really strong. Mech online, lying a bit under-leveled, but still a good team fighting support. Earthshaker excelling there, and obviously Bristleback, Warlock ulti. These things all are great in larger scale engagements. But can they force Cloud9 to take those fights? Because I see Cloud9 spreading the map reasonably well right now. They put pressure on the mid tower while that tower top falls. They pressured the bottom tower as well. Is EHOME going to be able to force them to come defend their home turf?
I think EHOME has a lot better chance than they would have if Envy would have gone for mech. He went for Rod of Atos, which is an item he likes to get, and it's also good on the Necrophos. It's a great way of slowing down targets and getting on top of them. They have, that's the thing though, Cloud9 feels like they already have multiple slows that are more than enough. They have the Tether slow, they
Look
have
at
Frost
Ohio.
Blast.
He can't move. He's
Yeah.
he's got 158 move speed.
Radiant
That's
structures are
unbelievable.
It's certainly good, but they already have double
Radiant's
bore,
bottom tower is under
Frost Nova, Chain Frost, Tether if he goes aggressive. The Tether slow is not really that realistic in this game though, but other slows. And if they get into a team fight now, a mech on Necrophos not only is great for keeping the team alive, but more so keeping himself alive, because he heals himself. Like, if he gets the full mech heal, and the full mech heal from Io as well, that's absolutely ridiculous how much he heals together with Death Pulse. So,
Yeah, not even counting.
Now it's
Magic
still scary.
Stick, the bottle.
if they find the Wisp, it's instantly dead. It's a 600 health hero with no support from the team. They can't keep him alive.
He really has to play flawlessly. And EHOME have pretty reliable initiations. You mentioned the golem in the context of, or the golem,
The chaotic offering.
the chaotic offering, in the context of catching out a tinker in the trees. But that also holds true for a wisp. So You follow that up with Fissure, and you're in trouble. Inflame, being threatened by Bone 7. Really wants to draw TP here, but unable to do so as Mushi will cleanly take that tower bottom, and now they TP one hero towards top. Actually make it 2. The Lion also arriving, and C9 not finding too much of an opening to respond. They try to pressure mid, but this tower still
The
stands
Atos again.
for now. Do they really want to go in Ohio here, though? That's just begging for the chaotic offering.
That
to drop.
Necro Book is really doing work, though. He's out of mana. They could actually ult him, but not enough mana on Envy right now.
That's a pretty defensive Warlock ulti. Do they get anything more after this? Coming out right now is the stun from DDC as Fada gets off the roar, though. Inflame gonna drop. It's a dual wand for Cloud9. No Viper yet in this fight. The Bristleback standing strong. Ohio brings everyone low, but not finishing anyone off. The Chain Frost bouncing here and there. And Ohio will be pursued out, finished off by 1-7. CYF, even with the mech, he's getting slowed and kited and controlled. EHOME just not bringing 5 to the fight all at once. Cloud9 playing with the power of friendship and teamwork. And coming out on top as a result.
That Golem really messed up the Viper. I think he got hit 5 times by Chain Frost because he kept running with the Golem. And yeah, like you said, I think the most important thing in that fight overall is that Viper just wasn't there. I don't know if he had cooldown on the TP or didn't have one at the time. He should have definitely had time to port on the tower. And that would have made everything totally different. But Cloud9 outnumber them. They kite around, and again, the IO just... The amount of healing and mana Eternal Envy received in that fight has to be over 1,000, at least.
Well, it might continue to rise. As that's a big win there for Cloud9.
Yeah. It's important that they get a tower like this, because their lineup is actually pretty bad at pushing. So if they can get away with that against a good defensive teamfight lineup at this point, it looks good for the future engagement. Engagement. Going
Uh-oh. We're both getting tripped up here.
We're getting there. Well,
Come on, man. Let's just try to keep it
sharpen
together.
up LD.
Jesus.
It's being awful.
Well, Blink Dagger is coming fairly soon for Legion Commander. Up to about 1,600 gold, I believe, on top of the treads that were just acquired. And that's where this lineup starts to get scary. Then you've got the Hawk running around, the Blink Legion, the potential for a relocate into Necrophos ulti, or just into the Legion initiation. EHOME strong in 5-man, but losing more of a team fight-centric engagement like that, really, it doesn't bode well for the upcoming fights. And that's assuming they're not getting picked off all around the map. I fear they could easily be outmaneuvered in the mid-game and just kind of picked apart.
They definitely need to be more organized than in that previous team fight. Viper needs to be at the front lines together with Bristle, and then it's a totally different story. It'll disallow the Legion Commander from really running in and getting the duel off as easily with Viper Strike on him. Of course, just even Viper has decent attack range with the Orb attack, and that means if he can somehow get in on No-Tail, not necessarily kill him, but just force him to break the tether, that actually makes a really big difference in these fights. And I think he can move in with confidence, because who's going to burst down the Viper on Cloud9's team? They need to use pretty much everything for that. And that's considering that there's a Fissure and a Golem to buy time if that's necessary for them. So
Bottom
and he has
lane,
the
we
mech
might
too.
have an attempt here. They
Oh,
will go
he's
in on
in trouble.
Inflame. Oh my. Necrophos ulti thrown out. Slowed, but gets off the Fissure and continues to retreat. At least not going to have that plus 30 seconds on the death timer. So he still goes down in the end.
that was still a really nice attempt at getting that kill during the Scythe by Cloud9. They dropped the Scythe at full HP so they couldn't Fissure. And during the Scythe, they hit 3 of the spirits from Io and the Death Pulse. So that was really nice. Roar?
Really? Well, Roaring Top, he's got the relocate coming in. Now the follow-up Impale comes through, but a quick finger to Big Daddy's face, and now the retreat is on Eternal Envy. We'll turn and fight this Necro Book doing work. They do have the Warlock ultis just upheavaling for now as they retreat. They manage to juggle the Chain Frost beautifully, and it keeps everyone alive. Ohio just slowly working his way in, but consistently out of Atos slowed. He's going to end up killing off the Necro 3. It does a ton of damage, but now they turn it around with the Warlock ulti. The Chaotic Offering doing decent damage. Gets the 1 kill on Legion, and now they may look to push. Though they're low on mana, pretty low on HP. I don't know if they can really contest for a tier 2 here, Send, and we'll have another pause. This one, also Ka. It's been a lot of lag today from everybody.
A lot of Ka today.
A lot of Ka today. Even a little Kaka.
Yeah, that's true. What team is it he's playing on?
What is it? No.
Tongfu?
Tongfu. No, not Tongfu. Now you're messing me up. God damn it.
Hey, you brought it up.
You put me on the spot.
Better be ready.
Oh my.
Better be ready to defend yourself. Okay. Well, that was what was that fight
My
overall?
defense is that I'm tired.
Was that a 2 for 1 or 2 for 0?
They get the Legion Commander, and I
it was
think
a 2 for 0.
everyone ends up living. But Inflame's gonna get caught out in the river, and the key thing to me is they're not taking objectives with these Warlock ultis. Like, mid lane, they have to use it defensively. Top lane, they get a Legion kill, but then they give one right back.
The
I think
thing is,
this is overall just favoring Cloud9 pretty heavily.
yeah, they're still definitely ahead. The thing about Cloud9's draft, though, is that with this last pick Legion Commander, Legion is a lot more about generally bursting than having sustainable damage in mid-late game. It's not very often that you see a Legion Commander getting to run freely for 10 seconds during a
Master
fight.
up in the Dire Woods. He's currently invis, scouting the Viper. He's trying to find out if there's any backup for ZYF, but that is not an easy kill.
Yeah. Might have some bad memories of the last time they tried to initiate on the Viper and got their IO immediately fingered.
Oh, here we go. Swinging around. Looks like Fada's going to find a big opening here. They relocate in. They're bringing in the Necrophos as well. The ulti comes out. A quick, decisive kill. It's suddenly 5 heroes, but they know where the relocate was from, and they're coming right back. Do they bring 2? EHOME totally set up for this with the smoke. Completely in position. Oh, hello, Eternal Envy. How you doing, Big Daddy? Stomping them, slowing them down, stunning them as well. Eternal Envy tries to run. He's got a TP scroll. Mana drain. He's surviving
wow,
for
what
ages.
an odds.
Come on, man. Kill the friggin' Necrophos. They just can't do it. Finally, they bring him down, but it's cost them a Lion, the Viper, the Warlock. They're going to lose Inflame as well. Potentially drops the Fissure, continues to retreat. The Chain Frost coming through. Into the trees he goes. Into the trees. Fada will follow him, running after the cow. He circles around. Ohio body blocking him off a bit. Gets him with the axes on the TP out. Fada, what a player. They tried to set an ambush, but this Necrophos is just too tanky. He had the bonus HP regen from the ulti kill mid, and they just couldn't bring him down, Sind.
If Inflame would have got out there, though, that would have been probably the single biggest individual play of the tournament we've had so far. That was an absolutely perfectly played fight by the Earthshaker right until Fata ultimately does finish him off with the Axis. So, but yeah, you're right. The Necrophos is really becoming a problem for them to deal with, it seems. That's one of the weaknesses about EHOME's draft that I don't think we've talked about so much. They have pretty good damage, but it's over time. And that's something Io and Necrophos are extremely good at dealing with. The burst comes from Finger and pretty much nothing else. Bristleback takes time, needs to build up the quills. Poison attacks take time to build up. Maybe what you're looking at for EHOME to be able to burst down the Necro is to get a Blink Dagger on your Shaker to get some good echoes in. I think that's their best secondary burst after the Finger.
Yeah, I don't think they have a blink on either support. They're only 2,300 net worth on the Shaker and the Lion. And I mean, speaking of the Finger of Death, you kind of have to finger the Wisp.
Yeah.
Else, the Necrophos becomes even harder to kill, and it just puts you in a difficult position. Inflame does get down some good Observer wards. Cloud9 currently in the dark as far as their own jungle goes. They're scouting the Dire Woods with a Hawk flying through now, but it's time for EHOME to congregate. They want a 5-man. They have the Warlock ulti, knowing that Chain Frost is down at least a bit longer. But C9, true to their classic form, well, if they don't feel they can take a 5-man fight, they don't try to force it. They just go for the next best possible option. Split pushing top, split pushing bottom, and waiting until they're ready for that next 5-man clash.
Dire do have Glyph, so they're going to Glyph top, and they're going to continue mid, it looks like. I thought they might TP top and try to defend that, but they really want this fight to happen as much as they can. Don't know, it doesn't look like they can force it.
TP's coming in. Eternal Envy retreating out, but from the backside comes a little bit of an ambush from your Shaker. Inflame getting off the quick stun on Big Daddy. Now the follow-up Echo Slam, then the Golem dropped. Eternal Envy nowhere to go. Slowed down. Doesn't look like he'll make it out of here. He gets off some heals, but just for good measure.
What a finger!
Let's finger him as well. Take that, Eternal Envy.
I actually think
you ain't my Sama.
That didn't even hit.
Yeah, but just for good measure. That's just like spitting on someone's grave. Seriously,
you should be able to finger a corpse if you wanted to, just to show him who's boss.
The finger taunt.
Yeah,
that should be like a stat.
Pretty much what he did.
You know, this Necrobook is really annoying for Bristleback because like the Quill's procky as he loses health causes it to go off against his will.
Yeah, Necrobook is a really nice item against Bristle. However, we should remember Necrobook got changed not too long ago so that the damage you take from killing it is magical instead of pure. And that means his pipe actually helps him quite a bit in that regard.
That's true. It's a good pipe game. It's a very good pipe game.
If you have basic resistance, it's the same damage as it used to be. It would be 600 pure before, now it's 800 magical. But that means his magic resistance now would be something like 50%. So he actually cuts about 200 off it. And then if he also has the back towards the book, it's suddenly not that scary anymore.
They're going to grab a medallion here on the Lich. Perhaps just looking to be able to work down this Viper and Bristleback quicker. Not the best Roshan lineup for C9, though they have a bit of potential with the Inner Beast. But now Bone 7 makes his move. It's a solo smoke, and he hasn't had too many successful duels this game. Only 2. We're now 21 minutes in. It's been a slow game, but well, it's not like EHOME are really getting out of hand. They've been controlled fairly well on all their cores as well. They're going to
This
go
is
for
a
the Roche
pretty
lead.
ballsy play. They do have the medallion on Misery, so
Kind of classic C9 to just go for an ultra ballsy Roche sneak. Now, granted, they do have the Hawk up high to give a bit of vision, but I mean, make no mistake about it. They get caught in the pit here, they are not going to have a good time.
yeah, there's no Warlock Ultimate, no Echo Slam, and no Finger of Death, though. So even should the fight break out, I actually think Cloud9 are ahead in that regard. And yeah, they'll be getting it without any contesting anyway, so.
The TP
Give it to
back to the
Legion.
base goes out for the Earthshaker, but it's
I
too late for him to get in the
really
call.
thought they would want to try to pull in Envy toward the end of the Roche kill and give it to Necrophos. He's an extremely good Aegis carrier. And will, to whatever extent possible for EHOME, be focused first. And if they need to kill the Necrophos twice and he gets some heals off both times, they need to carve through what is like 4,000 EHP at least right now. So, but it is going to go to Legion, means he can go for a very aggressive duels. Probably still wants to win them, so don't give damage away. Even though he has Aegis, he still lose the duel. And we'll be farming here. Another blink for Beastmaster.
It feels like for Cloud9, for a bit longer, they just want to continue to be more mobile. Just spread EHOME out. Don't let them 5-man, and if they do 5-man, be able to pick off anyone else who's off on their own, or even just take towers quicker instead. And well, they're going to get to a point soon where then they could start taking 5-man fights. At some point, this Necrophos gets so tanky that they already are having trouble bursting him. And it'll be impossible for EHOME eventually. And Legion can start to take over at some point as his farm continues. So it feels to me like EHOME are on a bit of a clock here.
In a way, yes, and in a way, no, because Cloud9 don't have the best ways of dealing with an Axe Refresher Warlock either. I
That's
think
true.
that could be the damage they need. That should not be underestimated how hard that hits. And
But it seems like the trick for EHOME is going to be finding a way to force that fight.
yes, that's the hard part. And it's always going to be against a team that's good at playing split push with IO. But as we saw earlier, and at the same time, Cloud9 once again not the best team at taking down the towers
Mid lane,
fast.
there's a relocate. They're going to go on Inflame, and they grab the quick kill on the Earthshaker. Meanwhile, back to bottom where Ohio is being pursued by Fada. His army of minions on the chase. The pipe can't even be used. He's constantly out of mana, this poor guy, and looks like eventually he should be run down. It's going to take them a while, but Axe is coming out. Additional Lich Slows coming through. The Medallion really helping, and they'll get the kill there on the Bristleback. And even when EHOME take these objectives, Cloud9 are just finding the
this
openings.
is an even bigger kill if they can get it.
Oh, I don't know. This is a tough one. Lion is surging forward, trying to get in range, but doesn't. They still don't have a blink on. Oh, actually, just got it now, but I guess was cooling down.
Yeah, he was pretty far away, and I'm also not sure they really wanted to go for that kill. If you don't kill the Wisp instantly on that, you're going to die both of you to committing to that kill.
And even if they get the Wisp kill, they may still die to the
Yeah.
Necrophos. At least a 1-for-1. Well, the game, it just isn't. There's no clean wins for EHOME. It seems to be their continuous issue. Is Cloud9 too good at finding ways to trade efficiently and never taking that one terrible fight against the Warlock ulti that just sets them back massively. They're just finding the openings and exploiting them wherever they
I
can.
think Envy just used some gold. What's he working on? There has to be something on the courier. He almost has an Ag Scepter.
We haven't even really seen too much from the Warlock ultis, but I mean, EHOME not really the best buyback lineup, but this is just going to make it easier and easier to get those kills in the first place with the bonus damage. EHOME kind of chilling in their own woods. Good aggressive wards up for C9. Very important when you're running a Wisp. They've got 3 scattered around the map, and for the most part, EHOME's movements are being tracked everywhere they go. As bottom lane, Ohio will be engaged upon. They relocate in, and you just can't go farm on your own. Anytime you're on your own, that's just a free kill for Cloud9.
If they want to do something like that, they need to bait it with a Shaker behind so that they can buy time. He was there too late, and it's going to be a very nice pickup. Not only killing a core, but doing it with Necro. He's out for so damn long. And
DDC blinks in, but he's going to cost himself his own life here as Big Daddy survives for a while. The Golem will finish him off, but I mean, is it really worth it? Just the Warlock ulti?
he is
For the
crumbling.
Wisp?
And he doesn't have ult. Not able to
That
catch
didn't
up.
sound good.
Well, he was really slow, and he's also kind of an old man with a disgusting beard and generally rotting. So, I mean, come on.
I don't know. That was a Shannon move. random creepy groans.
How dare you insult me?
Beastmaster boots of travel up now. And
Is under
again, it seems more and more as the game progresses that EHOME just are not being allowed to play the style of Dota they had in mind when they drafted. They intended on 5-man. They intended on just forcing Cloud9 to come defend towers, but Cloud9 always finding the openings, continuously getting pickoffs, too mobile around the map, and oftentimes not even having to give up a tower. I don't know how did EHOME even break out of this?
I think they missed their first timing window, which was to take some more towers early on. They've managed to claim 4 in 27 minutes, which isn't all that bad, but at this point in time, I think if you try to go push, you either get caught on the way by any sort of relocate gank, or you just trade towers, which isn't enough. So I think they have to resort to plan B, which is to farm up some more, try to even take it super late. I honestly don't think they're out of it in super late game.
It looks like our Beastmaster in a bit of a pickle. Sfado will get caught up, but at the same time, Mushi, this will be the bigger kill in the Warlock. He gets slapped down by Bone7, and they look for a bit more. Ohio getting slowed. They did get the Beastmaster as a trade, so technically a 1-for-1, but this Beastmaster, he already has his items. Necro 3, Blink Dagger, BOTs. Like, I feel like anything else is just a pure luxury pickup.
And they also got the tier 2.
Yeah.
So easily a trade favoring Cloud9 here. Relocate.
They're just getting picked apart now. Cloud9 jumping in mid. Eternal Envy unloads the payload. That Aghanim's ulti deleting Euroshaker for quite a bit. Actually, I don't know if he got the kill during the ulti.
No, he died afterwards.
Either way, still sad.
Doesn't matter too much for this kind of kill, because I honestly don't really think it makes much of a difference this time around. But
ES still doesn't have Blink either.
no.
Yeah, you can't be buying back at this point. You buy back at 28 minutes, you might not get your Blink Dagger until like 35, 38 minutes.
Well, that might be the course he's headed anyway, to be honest, at this rate.
And will him getting a
600
Blink
short.
matter? I'm not sure.
There's
Everyone on
another
Cloud9's
PKB.
getting tanky.
I think in this game you need Viper to get damage items. He has Yasha BKB and it's I believe the mech. So at this point you have to find some way of dealing with that single target damage that your team is missing. Bristleback builds very defensively so far. He also needs an aggressive item. So if you try to take the super late as EHOME and you get the farm on the heroes, you manage to get the refresher on Warlock, you manage to get a couple of damage items on both of their carries, I think they can deal with Necrophos super late game, and I think they can deal with the Legion Commander too. Then the one problem that we haven't really talked about so much is how good Lich is very late game, because giving that free plate mail to the entire team against 4 Golems in theory, and against a Bristleback and a Viper is extremely powerful. And of course the Beastmaster Aura playing into all of that. So I think it's hard to call this game come very late game, but I think Cloud9's goal is to not even go there. With Necro ult, with Ags, suddenly the game just ends.
Yeah, nice buyback, nice late game. You're saving, but it doesn't really offer much. And it seems like as soon as EHOME go for a play on one area of the map, Cloud9 just immediately have a response with the relocate. And once you factor in the Aghanim's ulti with Necro, then you can't really go for those trades. They're already you could just see by the way they're moving. EHOME very much tucked into their upper quadrant, if even that, of the map, and unable to get out, get aggressive. They haven't even scratched an EHOME or a Cloud9 tower in, I don't know, what has it been now, like 10 minutes?
I think
They've
so.
just been bottled up.
It's a very difficult position to be in right now, and I think Cloud9 looks like they want to siege the bottom tier 2 as well. They're starting to work on it. However, this defensive ward of EHOME's is spotting out that Io and Necrophos are in their jungle, and they might try to go for that kill, because obviously you can't really relocate on the guy you're already next to, or you can. It's not really that useful. Don't try it at home.
Not advisable.
Not really that useful, but they're still a little bit cautious with going in here. They think it might be a bait, as now the Viper comes into farm, and No-Tail's just in such a good position. Stands far back to the left. If the Necrophos does get opened on, very easy relocate out, and they can't burst the Necro fast enough. So look at Eternal Envy go. He doesn't care. This is a bait. They want to have. Oh wait, hang on. Wait.
Wisp ends up abandoning Eternal Envy.
He had
Tried to rotate over to the gun. I think that's worth it, even if you lose your bristle here, but I don't even know if that happens. Turns on the Big Daddy. He's going to drop below, and he will fall. Doesn't get a single spell off. The Earthshaker, unfortunately, out of mana, can't echo, can't do much except retreat. But still, Cloud9 finally. It's EHOME who just outsmart them a bit in terms of their movements, finding the pick off, and unfortunate timing.
That was extremely unfortunate timing. I can't believe it. I think they engaged at the same time relocate was used, and it was not as a reaction to relocate being cast that they went in. I just think at the same time they went on Envy, the relocate left him. And ultimately a mistake out of Cloud9 because Envy can't play that aggressively on the lane without Wisp by his side. I think he thought he had the back of a Wisp like I did, and then a little bit of miscommunication.
He was
gets
probably like a
him
second
caught
from
out.
backing.
Yeah,
but
that was really...
no chance.
That was right on the margins. And that's huge. I think that's like 2,000 gold going the way of EHOME. They get to push out the lanes a little bit. Not really take any objectives, but getting some more farm. I think Ohio is closing in on his next item. I wonder if he's going to go for a Shivas just so he has mana against the Necro book, to be honest. He feels like he's out of mana every single
Him
fight.
and the Shaker, they're just struggling. Tranquil Boot's probably not helping out too much in that department. They maybe get out some wards at this point as well. You mentioned the map control, and the creep equilibrium's important. The wards would be nice, though. It doesn't look like they're carrying any currently, just a sentry. So I guess they have to settle for just pushing the lanes out. They are swinging around onto Fada. He's parked mid. Can they really get to him, though, without being too obvious about it? There's a haste room bottom, but he's just scouting everywhere. As the Hawks are flying here and there. It looks like mid. They might jump. Just waiting. Now he TP's out. Oh, what again, unfortunate timing. It's been the story of Cloud9's past 2 minutes. TP's out in the middle of the lane, thinks everything's safe. He's even scouting with the Hawk to make sure no one's rotating. And right at that moment, Invisible or Shaker up in your
I
grill.
think he finds some comfort in the fact that they used 2 ultimates just to kill him, though. That was Finger and Echo Slam. And I think Echo Slam might not have been needed, but they were worried they weren't going to get the connection impale from the high ground. So better safe than sorry. However, if this ends up in a Roshan as well, Cloud9 are losing a lot of ground, I feel, in the last 2 minutes. And it's been a kind of a series of unfortunate events, but EHOME are definitely making the most of it now. I think Cloud9 know this is happening, but they just can't go for it.
Yeah, they've got a Hawk, I believe, slightly to the north. It just died, but either way, Aegis picked up. And it goes the way of the Viper. So, still hasn't really made a big item pickup since then. But oh no, Misery caught us slightly out of position. He gets focus fire. Does he get off the Chain Frost? Almost does. He was very close to casting that with the Frost Armor, slowing down the physical damage, but doesn't get it off in the end.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
This could be a game
There
changer.
isn't, in fact, the Shiva's guard, but man, this is scary if you're EHOME now. 2 available Reaper sides in the same fight. That's, I mean, at this point, how many games have we seen just won by using 2 Reaper sides? Just ending the game. No matter how close it was, no matter how late it was in the game, how many buybacks were available, it doesn't matter. That mechanic is so unique and in a way so extremely broken. If you're EHOME now, it's so unforgiving, right? Now they can't make a mistake, basically. Any mistake is just game over, almost. You're out of the game for 2 minutes, and, well, top teams can do a lot in 2 minutes.
In slightly good news, Cloud9 are not the best pushing line, but they're pretty decent at this point. With the Necro, with the Beastmaster Inner Beastar, the Necro 3, the Wisp attack speed, they're not that slow either. And so, yeah, I think in 2 minutes, you're probably looking at losing a lane of Rax at least. Tier 2s are standing mid and bottom, but...
There we go. Bone 7 has his core build now that we've seen him run in the past. I really like the idea of running Shadowblade on Legion Commander. It gives you a couple of things. First of all, it allows you to find duels across the map. It's kind of the same logic as when you get a Shadowblade on Slark. You just run around, you find the opening, and then you go in. You get the backstab damage, turn on Blade Mail at the same time, and then you duel. And then suddenly, that extra 175 backstab damage and the fact that you come out of nowhere can really make a difference for your duel victory. At the same time, however, if you engage like that, you can't press the attack as you can with Blink. So it's kind of a choice you need to make what's more valuable. But more than anything, just being stealthy at this point is a very powerful mechanic to have on his side. And would you look at that? EHOME.
They went for a big smoke play, but I think
They wanna
Cloud9
push.
just got eyes on it. The Hawk was really close. It looked like it might have been just out of range, but they started pinning immediately. So either saw it or just saw that everyone disappeared off the map and knew what was up. The smoke is not going to pay off, and the scouting, I feel like this is one of the big things we've seen more of recently, Sin, from Cloud9 especially. Eternal Envy with his Lycan, the Beastmaster for Fada. They just love having these heroes that give you that extra level of information on the map as to the enemy's presence.
Vision is arguably the most important thing in competitive Dota a lot of the time. Knowing what's going on, having control, because when it comes to making the overarching decisions, it's often a gamble if you don't know at least something about what's going on. Just even if you don't see anything with the Hawk, the fact that you see that they're not, at least not there, means you can either guess a smoke or that you know they're on the other side of the map, which is huge. So it's not always about just seeing heroes, but just finding like a safe zone, if you will. Now, speaking of safe zone, Warlock is going to be providing one from here on out. He has the refresher in 15 gold, and that means if he gets to cast those, Cloud9, they have to get the hell out of there. You cannot fight into 4 golems with the lineup. It's just not working.
And conversely, if he just gets
roared,
necro ulted, or dueled, the follow-up damage is going to kill him.
Yeah.
And their disengage is Earthshaker, but I don't really see Earthshaker unless they all happen to line up. He's probably not saving the Warlock at that point, so
you cannot get caught if you're Warlock here.
Yeah.
It's kind of a spoiled situation to be in when you're playing Warlock with Axe Refresher, that you can stand literally 1500 range behind your team and just wait. You don't need to do anything else. Number one thing is do not get caught. And then the difficult thing is to time the Infernal correctly so that you hit as many targets as possible, hit it at the right timing, maybe break some channeling spells or something like that to the largest effect. You can't do that here, obviously, but if he does not get caught, if they bait out a Bristle, for example, or bait out the Viper, I honestly think even though EHOME are 7,500 gold behind, they will crush any team fight if they get the right opening. And it's the same for Cloud9. This game is now cat and mouse. Can you find the Warlock or not?
Yeah, and for Cloud9, they're looking for the jump in mid. They're going to jump on a Bone 7 Finger to start it off. They follow up with the Shivas, and they look to focus him down. He's pretty damn tanky, but the Sentry Ward comes out, and they'll get the kill.
No buyback.
Can they push? 70 seconds. There's no tier 2 either, and they're not really fully in position to trade. They are pushing out that top lane with the Beastmaster, but I don't know if he's going to be fast enough. Has BOTs, can return mid, probably has to return mid. Viper is swinging towards that lane as well. They're going to have 5 here. Is this the opening they've been searching for? They've waited so damn long for a chance to just kick through the front door. This might be it. The double ulti's online. Will Mushi get caught? Will he ensure a good Infernal? They're leaving Ohio in front. They're bringing in ZYF as well. Mushi pretty closely packed together with them.
The heart as well. Best timing for that.
They're tanky now, but Necrophos, he doesn't really care too much how tanky you are. The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Look at that heart stuff aura, how much it drains. That's insane.
It's pretty crazy. This siege is not very quick. Legion's up in 15. They get a tier 3, but unless they just want to roll the dice, they get nothing more here. Maybe not even the tier 3.
Very good defense. The Aegis is down now as well.
Oh, EHOME won it back. I wonder if Cloud9 look to jump this. No, they
this
don't.
Hawk as well is in a really good position. They get a lot of information.
They could BOT and behind, even if he wants to. EHOME still sticking around. They're going to jump. Echo Slam to start onto Eternal Envy. Rock number 1 coming out. Big Daddy waiting with the reload. He keeps him alive, and now the duel comes out onto Mushi. He can't. Oh, he does get off the second rock, but doesn't matter. Everybody's being scattered to the winds now. The Warlock ultis have been used. They try to focus Bone 7. He gets surrounded and beaten down as the Golems will zone off the chasing heroes. It's still only the single kill on the Legion.
Here comes the cavalry.
But they've got the 4 big boys in front. And not dropping very quickly.
Look at Mr. What?
Did you see the pulverized damage?
Is that supposed to work?
I guess it pulverizes off of the buildings onto them?
In a 700 AoE, apparently, as well. That was insane.
But at this point, the Necros are not that... not the Necros. The Infernals are not that strong.
They can't do it on their own. They need some sort of control. And the fact that EHOME used all of the whole package trying to go on Envy there turned out to be a really big mistake. They didn't have the Echo Slam afterwards. I think they used the Finger too on that opening. He has it back again, I do believe. Or maybe he never even used it.
I believe he did.
But Bone 7 salvaged that. I think the duel was totally worth it. Even though he ended up dying, he still killed the Warlock, and he delayed the second Golem drop, which is very crucial. So great heads-up play from him. And it buys them time as well. Now the Infernals are on cooldown for, I think, another about 1.5 minutes in which they can make a play.
And now it's Roche time. That's the hope here for Cloud9. They're swinging towards the pit.
It's going to take a while, though.
But it's not up yet. It's a minute, and potentially, I think it's closer to the full Roche respawn timer is what it said earlier. It's going to be a little while before this is up. Man, they were close, though. They do take down the tier 3, but it feels like EHOME are going to need 1, maybe 2 more good fights in quick succession to break through the Cloud9 defenses, and whenever the Warlock ults are down, that's where C9 have very little fear about pushing in. They're getting aggressive mid. It's jumping in, roar onto Ohio, but they'll cover his retreat with an upheaval. BKB now baited up by by ZYF, and well, we'll kill off the Necro book here. Still though, are they gonna stick around?
I don't know.
That's a big. I think that's his like 10-second BKB charge, or one of his bigger ones anyway.
Bristleback working on one of his own. That was a
9
9
second.
second one. Still really important. Regardless, as long as it's not a 5, just pulling down that duration is really important for Cloud9.
I think I want to go back to something you said earlier, because it seems quite a... Oh, hold that thought. Blink in. Dual
Oh,
bite
they
on
found
7.
Mushi.
He found Mushi of all heroes. Doesn't even have the ultimates anyway. Can he get the kill? He drops low. That Necrophos ulti comes through. He's deleted. 100 seconds with no Necro. How can they hold the line without him? Ohio's going to be next. It's the double ulti. They're both gone 70 seconds before the Bristle respawns. They try to finish off ZYF, but Eternal Envy now is forced to retreat. They have the Wisp in position. Tether relocate. They bring him back to safety.
I thought Ohio died to the Necro ult. He didn't.
It had the...
What?
It had
didn't
the
have
icon.
like...
It had the green icon.
I thought it had the icon.
It did.
I'm sure he died under Necro ult. How the hell did he buy back?
Well, Big Daddy's going to pay.
What?
Dota, please.
Wait.
Wepis? Wepis is shrugging.
So he died right after the Necro
So maybe
ult.
it's a visual glitch.
Tower is under attack.
Yeah.
Okay, because that must have been literally a 1/10 of a second he died after Necro ult then, if he didn't die during it. That looked like a clean kill. And I'm sure I saw the scythe up there.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, but for Bristle, it wasn't there. Or
it
it
was
was
there.
there for Bristle. So how does he
Dota-
buy back?
It's perfect world, dude.
What's going?
Dota 2's drunk.
Man, this
It's
game
gone.
game is delivering everything.
Things are getting interesting now.
This is odd.
So I guess, long story short, Sin, they hold the line here. They do have to use the Bristleback buyback, but that was without the Warlock ultis. And they still managed to hold. Now they have both. And they've taken the tier 3 last time. Roche is going to be up very soon.
Yeah, Cloud9 did not get enough out of that.
It's up in 30. They're only. I think they'll only have 1 Necrophos ult for this. It might be close to 2. but
Wait, what's Bone 7 getting with his quarterstaff?
90 seconds.
It could be his butterfly build. I think that's usually the item he goes for afterwards. If he gets Refresher, I think that's almost naive to expect to get 2 duels off, the way this game is going right now. Whenever he gets the first duel off, he really gets focused during it. I'm still just wondering if I was seeing things with that scythe. But
No. We had. They just double checked on this stream.
okay,
I
so he
believe.
died right after, and there was no scythe icon.
No,
on the
there
Bristle.
was there was an icon, but I guess it was just a visual glitch.
Okay, I
Yeah,
see.
Sounds like.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cloud9 are smoked. Roche is about to respawn. EHOME trying to lick their wounds and regroup. They have not lost a lane of racks for 43 minutes in. This might be the most intense game thus far.
Oh,
of the
there we
AC,
go.
And they get the duel. Onto Inflame, but counter initiation comes from the first set of rocks. They're going to bring in more. That second set, really nice on the Big Daddy. He's blown up instantly. Eternal Envy doesn't have as much support now. Thada, he refreshes, but he just gets slammed by the golds. All of a sudden, 4 dead. Eternal Envy barely scratched, and Flame survives. What a turn of events for EHOME. Rosha's up now, but to even go Roshers, the play just straight down mid. That's a 5,000 gold swing. And with Roche, 6,000 plus.
That was a really good play by Mushi, because it's so tempting to drop the second set of rocks onto Bone 7 to save your Shaker. He realizes the first set is enough and Shaker can stay alive, and then he immediately drops the second pair onto Io, who relocates in. I think No-Tail got nothing off. He just died from the impact and 2 swings from the golems. And they immediately get the Roshan as well. I believe this one has the cheese as well. So that one will probably go onto the Bristleback, or the other way around, they're giving it to Viper.
And suddenly, the Viper is
Ooh.
even with the Necrophos, and he's got 4,700 gold. I wanted to go back to what you said earlier, that it really feels like they need more physical damage. He's about to have it.
Yeah, he could buy either an Assault Cuirass for that, if that's what they want, or he could go for single target damage himself. I think the Cuirass makes a lot of sense since Bristleback will not be getting it anytime soon. Also, the armor from that should help even more staying alive against the Radiant's damage here, but...
Cloud9.
There's Daedalus. All right, that's the solution.
Oh, man.
Now they have damage.
Yeah, and now you really can't make mistakes if you're Cloud9. Up against Aegis Cheese with racks exposed, bottom lane also tier 2 claimed. They can go for, if they win one fight, that's 2 racks, if not more.
Still, Viper needs to be careful. You can get this false feeling of safety when you're carrying a cheese. He cannot use it late. He has to use it when he's on half health, else he gets deleted by Necro. So, not your usual tanky core cheese game, if you will.
Yeah,
Has to
you
be
can't just like chill calmly and make sure you pop it, but here comes the Cloud9 smoke. You have an Aegis of Cheese, who cares? We have balls.
Oh,
They're
if
jumping
This
in.
is a big kill if they can find it.
They
He's
look for the
cheese
Viper.
carry,
They get the roar.
roar.
Oh no, this could be bad. BKB out from Eternal Envy. They can't really do much. He drops low. No, he manages to get off the BKB. They couldn't kill him in time. Ohio fighting his way through this one, and now they turn. The Aegis expended, but he's coming right back. Bone 7 going to go down. The relocate. They can't bring him back. He dies on the mid relocate out, and that means, well, Whisk's going to fall as well. That's 2 more dead. They do pop the Aegis there, though. I believe the cheese was used as well, and CYF. Another kill going to DDC. Is that good enough for Cloud9? 2 buybacks down, a minute without these 2 heroes.
Did they force out anything? Did they get the Aegis
The
of Ohio?
Aegis they got, I think they got the
the
cheese
Aegis
as
and
well.
cheese. The Force Staff in that fight from DDC might have just saved the game. He Force Staff Viper out, got him time to use the BKB before the Necro ult, and then the Necro ult did nothing, and he cheesed afterwards. So
But you can
instantly
totally understand. If you're Cloud9, you're like, oh my god, we just found the Viper. We kill him, guys. We can just win the game. And they just jumped at it, threw everything that way. And
But there was no chaotic offering, and now they have 2.
Oh my. This looks like it could well be 2 lanes of Rax if EHOME want to commit. It's a risky play, though. The Necrophos ulti back online. The Refresher on cooldown. They can only delete 1 hero, but 1 might just be enough, especially if it's that Viper. And it looks like they'll take at least the melee mid. Do they stick around for more? Split pushing is the Beastmaster. He's giving Cloud9 a bit of hope that if they win a fight, they can go straight onto the top lane. EHOME in a dead heat here with Cloud9. This was probably the most hotly contested match coming in terms of our predictions, and just at the zenith of the excitement, Calais!
Woo!
ZYF wants a moment.
Calais, everybody!
It's been a day of pauses. Well, fortunately not in the middle of the fight, at least.
Yeah, that's true. This is such a scary moment. Usually at this point in games, when you're pushing here, you don't lose the game if you lose the fight. But it's still, that Necro ult just changes the game. And EHOME, although it's looking really good for them now, if they make a mistake, if Warlock gets jumped and dies and gets removed by Reaper's side, he's out for a good 100 seconds.
Oh, they want to go on the Viper. They're going to duel, but he did pop his BKB. Tough to take him down during this time. The Necrophos ult does nothing. And now the rocks come out. They turn on Bone 7. They bring him down. Inflame looking for more Eternal Envy. Getting controlled a bit. Where's that relocate out? I think Big Daddy's going to need to use it. He can't. Necro down. No buybacks on either. And they're getting clobbered by the Infernals. This just might be it. 2 lanes of Rex. They can't go Megas. But do they just try to throne it straight up? EHOME, 5-on-3. This is their moment to, if nothing else, push out that top lane. Maybe they go for more kills. They will. Hex onto Big Daddy. Trapped out, impaled, and dead. That's 3 dead. No buybacks. It's throne time. And it's looking like EHOME are just going to walk away with this game, stealing it out from under Cloud9's feet. What a turn. What an incredible swing of a momentum. And
oh, good Ags purchase. This could save the game if he can get there. He's trying to walk through. Look, he can't even get there.
He can't even get close. Ohio zoning him back. The throne dropping low. EHOME pulling some magic out at the final hour, and Cloud9 will take their first loss here at DAC as EHOME take them down a notch. What a performance.
Warlock is a really good hero when you get those items. That was really the turning point. There was that and a couple of really clutch moments along the way, especially I think the turning point, or at least a pretty important kill, was when they got Eternal Envy top when IO left him. And then they also got the follow-up kill after the duel, I think. They got 2 kills, they bought some time. That got them the time to get the refresher on Warlock, and that's when things really started to take off. It's scary stuff, you know. You don't generally think of Warlock as a carry, but honestly, when you get these down, when you're playing against a lineup like this that doesn't have extreme split damage, to give you an example, let's say Cloud9 had Gyrocopter, or they had Luna. These golems disappear late game. You just attack a couple of times and they're gone. This time they don't have it.
They had a Legion commander, and he's busy dueling, so we're not hitting the golem.
Doesn't have time to hit them. Overwhelming odds is underwhelming. See what I did there? And Necrophos takes too long time. It's long, extended fights Necrophos is good at. And those golems, you can't wait 15 seconds in upheaval while they're just clubbing away at you.
So many clutch plays by EHOME. You mentioned the Force Staff barely getting off BKBs. One of the heroes that dies to a Necrophos ulti in that second to last team fight mid, well, had the Aegis. The other one, the Viper, gets off his cheese. Any of those things go just the tiniest bit differently, they lose this game.
Yeah.
Or if that Bristleback's unable to buy back, if he actually dies to the Necrophos ult, they quite possibly lose this game as well. This was a nail-biter. But
it was extremely close.
I mean, these to me are 2 teams that are heavy threats to finish top 8. Just looking at the day one performances, like they seem like they brought their A game. Cloud9, EHOME, bringing out unusual picks. Overall, the team play's been good. The movements have been solid. It's only 3 games in, but they just feel like they're teams who are hitting a good stride moving forward.
And in a way, Cloud9 will probably look back on this game and feel cheated that they lost the game by literally 1/10 of a second. It's the same feeling you have if you lose the game to a throne rush right at the end and you were like 2 hits away. That's what it took to kill that Bristleback during side. And then I think the game was actually over. The buyback allowed them to stay in the game, allowed them to get another kill, buy time once again. If that doesn't happen, I think Cloud9 at least get a set of racks, probably get some more map control and play off that.
And with that
this
said,
game had it all.
It was an absolute barn burner. Guys, with that said, we're going to take a quick look at our standings here, kind of take stock of where things are going, and then I believe after that, we hop into EG versus Newbie, currently on the Dota Cinema channel. So, standings first, Sind. We'll get an update here on how the teams are progressing. Secret sitting calmly at 2-0. EG currently in the middle of a big match. Today was looked at, I think, as like kind of like a potential doomsday for them. They had to play the 3 big Chinese teams going into it. Newbie, LGD, as well as Vici Gaming. But so far, they're 2-0. They took down MVP. They took down Vici. They're looking pretty solid.
Yeah.
And a lot of these big-name teams starting to bounce back. EHOME, Vici Gaming, they start off 0-1. I'm getting distracted by some loud commentary. As let's just hop into EG versus Newbie. Great match underway. We're going to go ahead and jump into it right now.
I want to quickly mention what we talked about earlier today before we do that, which was about our predictions for what the top scorers in the group stage are going to be, where we were like, are they going to make 14-1, 13-2?
Yeah.
Maybe